If you've been on social media for a minute, you've probably seen a ton of different succulent leaf propagation videos. Scrolling today, I've seen leaves being planted directly in soil, sat on soil, placed in bottles of water, and placed on top of wet napkins. And based on the results in these videos, they all seem to work. I propagate a wide range of succulent leaves for my business. Some are super easy to raise and you could literally just chuck them anywhere, but others need a bit of TLC to survive. In this video, I'll share how I raise all of the leaves for my nursery so they have the best chance to survive, and I'll explain why. Just to be clear, I'm not saying the other methods are no good. The following is my personal preference as a grower. I have been known to chuck leaves on top of potting mix, but only when it comes to certain succulents. 99% of my leaves go on top of clean, dry propagating trays. The reason is fungal disease and some succulents' dislike of contact with soil. Many succulents, especially Echeveria and their hybrids, can be prone to fungal disease like rot, black spot or mildew. Fungal diseases thrive in humidity and can often be found in potting mix. Even if the potting mix is dry, it can harbor fungus, and humidity in the air may be enough for the spores to start growing on leaves. Fungal disease is also the reason I'm not a huge fan of water propagation when it comes to succulents. Sure, it does work, but there is always a small chance disease will affect the leaves. Dry trays are not 100% disease proof either, as spores do travel in the air and high humidity can set them off if they land on the leaves. But I rarely have leaves die when I start them on trays. When on soil, I see many more not making it. Because I do high volumes of leaves, the difference is quite noticeable. So if you don't want to take any chances, I would strongly recommend starting your leaves on dry, clean surface until leaf babies emerge. While a lot of succulents will grow from leaf even if you pop them outside in the sun, some can be obliterated on hot days. Personally, I prefer to keep my leaves in covered, dry, ventilated greenhouse with around 50% shade factor. I know this is a bit too unrealistic for a lot of people, and there are a few alternatives. A covered patio or a bright window should do the trick. For the leaf babies to not become leggy or stretched, keeping them in this space should be limited. I only keep them in this space from the moment I take the leaf of the mother until leaf babies start growing. 50% shade or window sills can result in the leaf baby losing shape, although it will correct once brought out. It's easy to get impatient about planting your leaf babies. I'm very guilty of this. Waiting until the leaf has grown a mini-me of the mother plant, and ideally also some roots before planting in potting mix, seems to work the best. By this stage, the leaf baby could survive on its own, though do not remove the leaf just yet. Another thing people do in different ways is planting the leaf baby, and again, they can all work just fine. I like to sit them on top of potting mix, and if they have roots, I'll gently tuck them in the potting mix. The reason for being gentle and not planting them deeper in is the potential of rot. Some leaf babies tend to be a bit touchy if they are placed too deep into the soil. To be honest, most of the time they'd be okay, but I've seen a fair few perish, so once again, to be on the safe side, I'll let them find their way into the potting mix. I know how tempting it is to remove the leaf, but you have to resist. I mean, you don't have to do anything I say, but by removing it too early while it's still plump, you can damage the leaf baby. I leave mine to shrivel and die on their own. Once they are dry, they're easy to pull and unlikely to do damage. Watering is usually a sensitive topic amongst my viewers, so do with this info what you will. While the leaves are in their early stages still on the tray, I don't do any watering whatsoever and keep everything as dry as possible. But as soon as I plant them in potting mix, I start watering. I prefer to give them a good soak once every now and again and let the potting mix dry out between waterings. In my opinion, it is best to do any leaf propagation at the start of the growing season. Most succulents will start growing fast mid-spring. I start taking all of the leaves off 1 month into spring. when the daylight starts getting longer. This will give the leaf babies enough time to grow and get more robust before summer heat comes along, and by the time winter hits, they should be big enough to survive it. So much will depend on your particular climate. I'm trying to generalize, so this advice covers most of the people watching. The timing should be the same across the world, but you may need to give the little leaves a bit more attention if you live in a super hot climate or climates with harsh winters. For instance, in colder climates, the leaves may need to be started inside the house if frost is still a possibility in spring, as most succulents are not frost hardy. Here in Australia, I do most of the growing outdoors, but have to really watch out for the heat. It can easily get to 40 degrees Celsius in spring, and this will cook any leaf babies exposed to direct sun. To not lose any leaf babies once the heat ramps up, I grow under 30% shadecloth for most of the year. When heat waves are expected, I double it up to the duration of the heat wave. If you're serious about leaf propagation, I would highly recommend a shadecloth. It serves many a purpose and can save your plants from heat, mild frost, hail and bigger pests. And now I've spilled all my secrets. Please do give this video a like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, that's fine, you can scroll on. And that's it. I hope this was useful and I will see you all next time. Thank you so very much for watching.